One quiet evening, a man walks over to his friend's house carrying a warm roast chicken as a small gift. He has no idea that this ordinary night is about to turn into something he will never forget. The moment he steps inside, he freezes. His friend Ned is sitting perfectly still in his chair, slumped and silent, and he is clearly dead. For a few seconds, the man just stands there trying to make sense of it. That is when he notices something small clutched in Ned's stiff fingers. A lottery ticket. He carefully pries it loose and takes a look, and his heart stops. This is not just any ticket. This is the winning ticket. The unclaimed jackpot the whole county has been talking about for weeks. The one splashed all over the news. £500,000 sitting right there in a dead man's hand. And suddenly it all makes sense. Ned did not die of illness or old age. He died of shock. The excitement of realizing he had finally won was too much for his heart, and the dream of a lifetime stopped him cold. That is how it all begins. This is Waking Ned. The man who found him is Jackie O'Shea, and he goes home that night and tells his wife Annie everything. They sit there thinking about the kind of man Ned was. He scrimped and saved his whole life. Every single week, without fail, he bought his ticket and quietly placed all his hopes on that one small slip of paper. And now, the paper has finally paid off, except he will never spend a penny of it. Somewhere in the middle of all that, an idea starts forming in Jackie's head. Ned had no living relatives. Not one. If nobody claims the prize, the money simply disappears into the hands of the state. All those years of hoping, gone for nothing. So why let that happen? Why not claim the money themselves? That night, Jackie has a dream. In it, Ned invites him over for a chicken dinner and promises to split the prize money with him. When Jackie wakes up, he is convinced that was not an ordinary dream. That was a sign. A blessing from Ned himself. So he goes straight to his best friend, Michael O'Sullivan. Michael is nervous and full of doubts, but Jackie keeps talking, and eventually Michael caves. The plan is simple. One of them will pose as Ned and claim the fortune. Under heavy rain, the two men slip into Ned's house and gather his birth certificate and every piece of identification they can find. Before they leave, they wipe away every trace and every fingerprint, so nobody can prove they were ever there. The next morning, they walk to the only phone booth in the village and call the lottery company. Jackie does his best Ned impression and announces that he is the man who won the jackpot. The company tells him they are sending a representative from Dublin named Jim to verify the claim in person. He will arrive in about 2 hours. That gives them almost no time. The two friends jump in the car and drive toward the edge of the village. The plan is to intercept the agent at the entrance before he can run into anyone. No curious neighbors, no awkward questions, just a clean handoff straight to Ned's front door. Meanwhile, a helicopter lands in an open field outside town. The claims agent climbs out, gets into a waiting rental car, and heads for the village. Back near the coast, Jackie and Michael have just finished a swim. As they are about to split up, a car pulls up. It is the agent. Jackie, not realizing who this stranger is, gives him friendly directions. But then the man mentions he is looking for someone named Ned, and everything clicks. Jackie changes his tune instantly and says Ned is a dear old friend of his, and that he could find Ned's house with his eyes closed. Michael is still there, hidden behind a rock, and he hears the whole exchange. He understands exactly what is happening. The second Jackie drives off with the agent, Michael throws on his helmet, jumps on his motorcycle, and races home along a shortcut to beat them there. Jackie, meanwhile, stalls for everything he is worth. He takes the agent on a slow, winding tour through the hills, buying Michael every extra minute he can. He blames his old age. He blames his terrible memory. Wrong turn here, double back there, left, right, around and around, until finally he decides enough time has passed. Only then does he pull up at Ned's front door. The door opens, and there stands Michael wearing nothing but a towel, pretending he just got out of the shower. And it works. Jim does not suspect a thing. He simply assumes the man is nervous, which is completely understandable for someone about to receive a fortune. He tells Michael to get dressed and then starts verifying his identity. Michael answers every question exactly the way they rehearsed. Date of birth, social security number, all of it. Everything goes smoothly. And once Jim collects the ticket, he drops a piece of news that nearly knocks Michael over. This ticket is not worth £500,000. It is worth $6.89 million. Michael is speechless. He and Jackie were certain the jackpot was around $500,000. Never in their wildest dreams did they picture a number like this. Jim explains how it happened. The top prize was supposed to be around $1 million, but nobody had won for weeks, so the pool kept rolling over and growing. It has swelled into the biggest payout of his entire career. Then, just as Jim is about to write out the check, he pauses and asks one more question. Did Ned write his name on the back of the ticket? Michael says yes, and that turns out to be a problem. Because the name is on the back, the ticket comes with conditions attached. Jim explains that he will need to do a little investigating first. He will come back in a few days, interview the villagers, and confirm that the man he met really is Ned. If everything checks out, the prize gets paid in full. The moment Jim leaves, Jackie and Michael let out a huge sigh of relief. It does not last, because they both know the truth. The second Jim starts walking around the village asking questions, the whole scheme falls apart. To make things worse, Annie has figured out exactly what they are up to, and she is furious. She and Jackie have a serious fight. She is terrified they will end up in prison for fraud and drag the entire family down with them. She tells him plainly that she would rather live poor than live in fear. She does not have the same appetite for risk that Jackie and Michael do. What matters to her is her family, and she understands better than anyone how bad the fallout will be if this collapses. Jackie and Michael know the danger too, but nearly £7 million is almost impossible to walk away from. And just when it looks like they are stuck, Jackie comes up with another idea. The risk is too big for two men to carry alone. So why not spread it across the entire village? The prize is close to $7 million. The village has fewer than 50 people in it. Do the math, and that comes out to roughly £130,000 for every single person. If everyone is in on it, nobody will ever turn them in, and they can handle any question Jim throws at them. Jackie steps up as spokesman, gathers the whole village together, and lays out the truth. Ned won £6.89 million, but he is dead, with no relatives to inherit a thing. If everyone bands together to impersonate Ned and back up the story, each of them walks away with $130,000. Then he adds a warning. If anyone refuses, he will walk straight into the police station and confess the whole thing himself. And then nobody sees a penny. Millions of pounds vanish into the pockets of the state. So he tells them to think very carefully about which one matters more. The villagers go quiet. Some look uneasy. Others can barely hide their excitement. At first they hesitate because there is no getting around it. This is fraud, plain and simple. But £130,000 is more money than most of these people could earn in a lifetime. It could clear their debts, build new homes, educate their children, and lift them out of hardship for good, and in the end, Jackie wins them over. One by one, they come forward and sign the agreement, setting their principles aside and working out how they will cover for each other. But then a snag comes up. When they go through the list of names, one person has not signed. An old woman named Lizzie Quinn. She is a recluse, sharp-tongued and bad-tempered, and she has never gotten along with a single soul in the village. For the sake of the money, the villagers swallow their pride and show up at her door with armfuls of gifts, hoping to win her over. But before anyone can get a word out, she flatly refuses. £130,000? She knows better. She knows that reporting lottery fraud comes with a reward of 10% of the prize, which works out to a staggering £670,000. And then she raises the stakes even higher. She threatens Jackie directly. If he does not hand her a full £1 million, she will call the lottery company that very moment and blow the entire scheme wide open.
Yours is the only one missing, Lizzie. The whole village is waiting for the news.
Give me your list. And I'm the only one missing, you say?
You are.
But 10% is £670,000. And as I'm the only one that hasn't signed, I figure there's some bargaining to be done.
The whole village panics. One phone call from her, and every dream they have evaporates. Worse, it could land all of them behind bars, and none of them has ever met anyone quite so immovable. But there is another problem that cannot wait. Ned's body has been sitting for days, and it is starting to smell. So they set the Lizzie problem aside for the moment and turn their attention to burying him. And that is when the twist lands. Just as the funeral is getting underway, Jim suddenly walks in, and the second he steps through the door, he lets out a loud sneeze. Everyone in the room goes rigid, certain the entire scheme is about to unravel right there over the coffin. But Jackie is leading the service, and he thinks fast. Without missing a beat, he announces that the man lying in the coffin is his good friend Michael. And Jim buys it completely.
Michael O'Sullivan was my great friend. The words
that are spoken at a funeral are spoken too late for the man that is dead.
As far as he can tell, he has simply wandered into a village funeral. After the service, Jim finds Michael and gives him the good news. He has already made his inquiries around the village, and every single person confirmed the same story. Michael really is Ned. And so, standing in the middle of that absurd funeral, Jim hands Michael the check. £6.89 million. The instant Jim is gone, the village explodes with joy. They actually did it. Every one of them is about to receive £130,000. The pub owner throws his arms up and declares that every drink is on the house for the entire night. Glasses go up, and the place lights up with pure happiness. But in all the celebrating, nobody notices that Lizzie has quietly slipped out and set off on her own. She is still determined to expose them all and collect her 10%. What she did not count on was her electric wheelchair breaking down halfway there. With no other option, she gets out and makes her way on foot toward the phone booth at the edge of the village, ready to make the call that ruins everyone. But she is not the only one leaving the village that night. Jim is on his way out too, driving along the very same road right behind her. And Jim is still unwell, still sneezing uncontrollably. As one violent sneeze takes hold of him, he loses control of the car. The vehicle veers off the road and slams straight into the phone booth, the very one Lizzie has just stepped inside. The booth is knocked clean off its foundation. There is a crash, and just like that, it is over. And so, in the end, every single person in the village gets their share of the money. All of them walk away happy and rich at last. So the moral of the story is, if your friend wins the lottery, check if they're breathing before checking the ticket.